of the presentation.
Okay, now you can start, Mr. Magid.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody. First, I would like to address my thanks to Dr. Abr Alwani, CIVB President and first Vice I5VB President, for his continual support to African referees. It is, I think, the 5th webinar seminar for African referees, beach and volley. The presentation will be will be presented by Dr. Rodrigue Deboué, concerning the international beach volleyball refereeing competencies and careers requirements. Dr. Rodrigue Deboué, he is university professor at University of Ottawa in Canada. He is international beach volleyball referee since 2011 and CIVB beach volleyball referee coach, one of the 4 referee coaches in Africa. He participated in first referee men's gold medal match at Junior World Championship in Halifax 2011. He participated in Beach Volleyball World Championship in Netherlands 2015. He was referee delegate at all African Games in Congo, Brazzaville 2015. He is referee delegate also men's in Tunisia Continental Cup in Libya 2012. He participates in many FIVB beach volleyball events. He officiates regularly in Canada, both beach volleyball and beach volleyball. So I think we have now an experienced referee beach volleyball who will give us this interesting webinar. Please, Dr. Deboué, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard, for this introduction, and thank you to the CIVB for the opportunity to share here some experience that we have collected along the way with my fellow referees in the CIVB region. I hope everybody can hear me very well. Okay, I guess yes. Okay, so the thematic for this webinar is international beach volleyball refereeing, competencies and career requirements. So when we started discussing this with CIVB, and thank you to Enzo for the support and assistance throughout this process, we needed to come up with different thematics, and our fellow instructors and referees have already conducted some webinars that were talking more about some of the actual techniques and things that have to do with the rules themselves. But I thought that it would be great to step back a bit and talk about something that concerns all international referees and candidates, which is to look at the kind of competencies that are required to actually have a successful volleyball referee career. And so, as we all know, we are in continuous evaluation throughout our career, and it is important that we all understand how we are getting evaluated. It's just as when you want to take a test, you need to know what are the criteria you are going to be evaluated on. How is it going to be graded, so that you know exactly how to prepare. I remember many years ago where I took my first TOEFL test, which is an English test. There are people that actually have a very good knowledge of English language, but they don't score very well. Not because they don't know the structure of the test. They don't know how the test is structured, how long it will take, and what are the type of questions that we will ask. So I thought it would be great to revisit and discuss. This is more supposed to be a discussion with my fellow referees here. I hope there will be a lot of questions. So the idea here is to really share our experiences in terms of the competencies that are used to assess our work as referees. And can you go to the next slide, please? And the second, so that would be the part, that would be the first part. The second part is career requirements. I will talk more about how the methodology that I use there, but I thought, you know, there are things that we sometimes have the opportunity to discuss when we meet at different events. But I thought
sorry, doctor, the voice is not good. Please try to be close to your mic.
Is it better now? Hello, can I will.
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, great. So the second part here is going to be, there are some mics that are not muted. It's okay. The second part is,
it's started now.
It'd be great to mute the other mic so that it doesn't interfere a lot. So the second part here is about career requirements, where I'm sharing with you a result of a study that was conducted among top elite beach volleyball referees. And we'll talk more about that when we get to that part. Next slide, please. So as a beach volleyball referee or international referee or candidate, we are usually evaluated around a certain number of competencies. And these are grouped into 4 different dimensions. The first will be our referee techniques and mechanics, knowledge, interpretation and application of the rules, our match management and responsibility, how we control our match, and also our appearance and presentation. So we will go through each of these and try to look at exactly what it is looked at. So whenever we are at international, can you maybe go to a full screen for the like the presentation mode for the, you need to click on enable editing on top there and then go to presentation mode.
Okay.
Like enable editing on top.
No. Why?
Gérard, la partie jaune en haut là.
Oui, voilà. Ça va pas?
Ça ne bouge pas.
Ça bouge pas. Hein, je vais essayer l'autre slide. Voilà, l'autre slide, ça marche. Celui-là.
Non, en fait, il y a des commentaires, ils disent que ce n'est pas en full screen, ce n'est pas un écran complet, c'est minimisé.
Okay, just click enable edit, Mr. Gerard. Where it says enable edit, just click enable edit.
Edit.
Enable edit at the top, yes, to the right.
Yeah. No, enable.
Enable to edit, where is it?
Right where you are on the right side.
Enable edit. Click.
Yes.
Okay, and then you now need to click at the bottom right hand corner, right hand corner, or just press F5. Press F5 on your keyboard. F5.
F5. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So now we can go to the next slide.
Oh, yes, yes, good. Okay.
Next one.
This one?
Okay. Next
Okay.
one. Okay. So this is good. So knowledge. No, first, sorry. Go back to the previous one. Okay. So the first. No. Go back to the previous one. Back to
This one?
No. Before that. Before. Okay. Good. No. Okay. Next one.
This one. The next.
This one. Good.
Yes.
Okay. So as international referees and candidates, whenever we attend any events, we are assessed on, like I said, on different in different areas. One of them is our referee techniques and mechanics. So the one thing is about how we get organized to get to our match. How do we get prepared? There is a preparation that needs to happen before the match to be able to make sure that everything runs smoothly. The match protocol at different events, we have sometimes different match protocol because of TV requests and things like that. Sometimes the protocol may change. So how do we make sure that we adapt to that? How punctual are we to our courts? How do we manage the score sheet? All these things are taken into consideration when we are assessed for each match, not just one match. For each match that we conduct, we need to have a clear routine on how we get prepared to that, how we get organized. And in terms of our decision making, I know at the local level, we tend to work alone. Even here, when we have a large event, we don't always have first and second referee or line judge. But that is sometimes a problem because we get used to work alone. But at international events, we always have a second referee and line judges, and we need to make sure that we have the proper protocol to make our decisions. So when we whistle, do we really gather information from the line judges before and the second referee before we make our decision? This is very important because when a referee does not really make the second referee or mostly the line judge feel that they are part of the match, they get lost, they start sleeping. And when you actually need them, they are not there because you have not been used to get information from them. So one advice is usually to make sure that you communicate with your line judge throughout the match and ask them to make all the calls, even those that are obvious, and make sure you have eye contact with the line judges. So our decision making is very important. Sometimes we make the wrong decision just because we didn't take time to gather all the information around before. We have to whistle for sure. We have to whistle very quickly when the ball is on the ground, or when there's a fault. But then we don't have to whistle while we are making our decision. We have to whistle, gather the information, make our decision, not the other way around. Then also, how do we work with our second referee? There are situations where you have a first referee making a decision, although the second referee is trying to give some information and we are not looking at him or her. So it's very important. So teamwork with the line judge, teamwork with the second referees, and very important, our hand signal. This is really what usually comes up when we assess with our referee techniques and mechanics, where at this high level, referees receive comments about maybe the out signal, the timeout signal, or the in signal are not sharp enough. And this, we have to practice and practice and practice to make sure that our signal are very sharp. And from my personal experience, I've noticed that even international referees, when we are working at the local events in our own countries, we tend to be very loose. Our signals are not what they're supposed to be. We tend to really be too relaxed, you know, and we think that we can do that. And when we get to the international event, FIVB event, our signal will be sharp. No, it's a matter of getting that in practice all the time. When you go take your shower in front of the mirror, or in your bedroom, in front of your mirror, from time to time, you know, check your signal, make sure that they are where they're supposed to be, you know, and ask your fellow referees sometime to look at you and give you some feedback about your signal. So this is the kind of thing that I looked at for the first referee. The second referee is very similar, but attention to net and interference. We look at how the second referee really pay attention to that. Is teamwork. So teamwork between referees is not only in one direction, it's both directions. So second referee is supposed to really communicate throughout the match with the first referee as well. Beside that, the second referee is really in charge of the scorer table. And in beach volleyball, we have to make sure that we actually communicate and turn and look at the score, make sure that the serving order is correct for after each rally. When you miss a switch, you cannot say, oh, well, the scorer did not announce. No, we have to always stay in contact. And this comes with the preparation that we have at the beginning of the match. How do we make sure that the scorers are really are there, and they are not maybe using their phones or doing things that they're not supposed to do at the scorer table? So these are the things that we are looking at when a second referee is evaluated. Another thing is the movements of the second referee. This is extremely important because your movement as a second referee will tell how, if you are able to see, to have the right angle to see certain things. For example, a ball that cross on the antenna in front of you, are you really alert? Are you really ready to do that, to see what's happening there? In terms of your positioning, also to see the touches and things like that. And obviously, like the first referee, hand signals are extremely important to be sharp. Can you go to the next slide, please? So after the mechanics, the knowledge of knowledge interpretation, application of the rules is one of the core competencies that we need to have as international referees. Again, it's clear about, we're talking about knowledge, interpretation, and application. There's one thing to know, meaning that you are able to pass the test and get 100%. But are you able to really make that, put that into practice whenever you are faced in a match with that kind of situation? So certain areas where a first referee is really assessed are ball control. Ball contact control. As you know, in beach volleyball, ball contact has always been a very big point of concern. And some criteria have changed over time in terms of what do we really need to call, what we should not call. So these are the kind of things that you want to make sure that you are consistent, not only throughout a set or a match, but throughout the whole events. And also you are the same level with whatever that competition is asking you to do. Because as you know, we have been to different events when in the past where you hear different advices and as to what to really call and what not to call. What I can say there is in the recent years, beach volleyball and volleyball have tried to come to the same level in terms of this the assessment of ball contact. We want to be able to be to identify the attack hit faults. For those who have been following beach volleyball recently, the recent event in AVP in the USA, there was a big a situation where a player actually jumped with going with the knock, trying to do the knock, but as the player was going up, he opened his hands and actually play over open hands. And for some reason, the referee missed that. And at that level, they didn't have the challenge system. So the referee made the decision. The second referee didn't see that. So it's important to be alert with those things. Like one of my fellow referees that was supposed to step in today and say hi to us, Jonas from Switzerland, said in most matches, we have about 75% of our calls that are really basic calls, easy calls, and about 20 to 25% of the calls where we are really needed, where our attention is needed, and we have to be on target for those ones. Otherwise, we have a very good match, and then in one fraction of a second, we blow out everything, and the match turns to be contentious. Hard-driven ball is a very important also part where we need to understand really what are the criteria for hard-driven ball, when to call and when not to call, and understand the difference between men and women, and also understand that it is not about the first contact, it's about the reaction of the player. Because even as a second contact, it could be a hard-driven ball. So these are kind of some nuances that are important to know, and this is the kind of things that a referee coach or a referee delegate will be looking at when they are evaluating the referee. The other area is the play at the net. Actually, I think this is where most of the issues arise in beach volleyball in terms of what happened above the net there. When the ball is really close there on top of the net, what happened? Is there interference? Is there somebody who crossed the opponent's space or no? So these are things that we need to be alert. We need to be really into the match, really focused to make sure that we catch all those. Is there an attacking fault? Was there a touch at the block or no? So these are important things that we look at when we look at the play at the net. The other thing is about things like the service order, the quality of the service served, the service order, the screen. This is beach volleyball, only 2 players. So chances to have screen very low, but it could happen once in a million times. You need to catch it if it happened one day. It doesn't happen usually, but it may happen. Was there 4 hits? Ball mark protocol. We don't do that much anymore. We don't want to do that, but it's still there as a tool available to us whenever we have no other choice. Today, with all the technology that's available, we see less and less, but there are situations where we need. What's important here is if you need to run a ball mark protocol, you have to make the decision as a referee. It's not the player that has to tell you that you need to do to conduct a ball mark protocol. When I say 4 hits here, is more to be alert to make sure that you catch any 4 hit situation, but also whenever you show your signal, it has to be the right one. You see a player hitting the ball into the net, for example, and the ball fall on the ground. This is not a 4 hit, this is ball in. But if the player hit the ball into the net and the ball comes back to him, that is 2 hits. But if the ball goes back to maybe his partner after the 3rd contact, then it will be a 4 hit. So it depends what happens there, and we need to show the right fall that happens. It's situation. The handling of unusual situation also is an area where we are assessed, in the sense that we need to understand the criteria when to accept a protest and when not. So there's clear criteria as to when a situation is protestable and or not. We are all learning now the new medical injury protocol that has been Mr. Casanova presented to us here a few weeks ago. So this is when you can go to an event or to many events and you don't get exposed to that situation because you didn't have a situation where you have an injury on your court. But when it happens, you need to be able to know exactly what to do who has to do what. Very important. So unfortunately, because these kind of things that we don't see that much, whenever we are exposed to those things, we as an international referee, we tend to make mistakes, and we are assessed with those mistakes. Challenge system is something that, at least in the CAVB region, we are all struggling with, because we don't see that around us that much. And even at FIB event, it's not all the events that implement the challenge system. So for those of us that are on the call here that have already experienced challenge system, I hope that you'll be able to share your experiences, but it is clearly something that we are kind of dragging our feet in Africa, because we are not really implementing that much. It's not only in Africa, even in Canada, most events don't have that. It's only when you have top FIVB events that you will see a challenge system implemented. Clearly, attention to detail is a big thing. One thing, for example, that I've seen and I've learned the hard way myself through during an event is to really pay attention to those details. At some events, you are asked to go to the office and grab either the score sheet or the jersey for your match, and you have to check that score sheet to make sure that the score sheet that you are grabbing is the one for your match, and also that the jerseys are well labeled with 1 and 2 and front and back. I don't remember exactly which event it was. Personally, I had a very, very, very bad experience where my tournament was going very well, very few mistakes, and I had to bring the jerseys. I checked the jerseys. I thought I checked them very well, but in the front, it was clearly 1 and 2, but in the back, it was, I think, 1 and 1 or 2 and 2. So the same number for the two players in the back. So it was a mistake from the press, from the people that were preparing the jerseys, but it's my responsibility as a referee to pay attention to those details before I come to the court. Because on TV, when it's warm-up time, you don't want to have to delay because the players don't have the right jerseys. So remember, our sport, beach volleyball, is really a television sport. So attention to detail is very important. So that a slight mistake that I had at that tournament kind of ruined my whole performance at that tournament. But we learn from our mistakes, and I know I will never make that mistake again in my life. As a second referee, net actions also are extremely important, just as ball contact control is important for the first referee in this category. So at the net, there are situations where the ball actually crosses the space under the net. It's important to be able to catch those, or there's an interference, which is the criteria for interference are well labeled in our guidelines. So it's extremely important to know those criteria and make sure that you implement that properly. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go into technical details as what are the criteria for each of those, but we can touch on some of those maybe in the Q&A section. But what I wanted to point here, which is really important, is about the net touch. So net touch are extremely important here, but as a second referee, you need to be able to make the difference between a player that goes to the net and a net that goes to the player. Those are two different things. So as a second referee, when you are able to make that difference, you earn respect from the players because they understand that you are really there. You really see what's happening. Another area is obviously the service order. As a second referee, you are always looking at the table to make sure that the right service order is presented, and you're supposed to be able to know this in your head. So when you are turning, it's for confirmation. It's not to ask who is serving. It's for confirmation. And there are different techniques. When you talk to more experienced referees, they will share some of the techniques that they use to make sure that they they keep that order, service order on check in their head. And when the ball also contact the outside objects or the antenna, as a second referee, you have to be on top of those. One area for second referee that is extremely important as well is the game interruption. Remember, this is a TV sport. Time is of essence. We don't want too much dead time. So it doesn't mean that we have to rush the players all the time, but we know a timeout is 30 seconds, but we allow a total of 1 minute where actually 15 seconds are to go from the court to the benches, and then 30 seconds seated, and 15 seconds to get back to the court. So at 45 seconds, we have to whistle and make sure that the player gets up to go to the court. And if you conduct a study and you look at a tournament and you just find these things about this game interruption, you will be surprised how quick or slow we are sometimes in our match. So it is important to have this habit of staying on time with this game interruption. Side switches, you cannot miss it. I already mentioned that. You cannot miss side switch. When you look at the score, every time you turn, you want to always do the addition in your head right away. Don't wait for the scorer table to tell you that this is a code switch, next switch or whatever. So it's important that you handle it yourself. If you miss it, you cannot say, oh, it's because the scorers did not tell me. You need to know when it's time to switch. Of course, it may happen because something happened and it distracts you, and you may have it that you may forget. This is where collaboration with between first and second referee is extremely important, because as the first referee, I also do check that. So if I see that my second referee may be forgetting, I don't want to make him or her look bad. So I will give a signal to my second referee to say, hey, code switch. And they will pick it up if they are really in the match. And if really they cannot understand what I'm saying, I will have no other choice than to whistle the code switch to make sure that at least we don't miss that as a team, because we are a team there on the court. We have 2 more rubrics for this competency. Maybe I can, is there any question so far, or should I just continue? Okay, it looks like there's no questions, so we will continue to the match management and personality. So it is important to know that a match is just like, you have a lot of people that depend on you. You have the players, you have the scorers, you have the line judges. So you, as a first referee, you want to make sure that, everything goes smoothly. In terms of the players, how do you make sure that the player respect your authority as a referee? Again, we are not policemen. We know that. You are not supposed to act as policemen, but we're actually supposed to anticipate and try to avoid or prevent players from getting sanctions. So it is about how do we communicate with them? How do we make sure that they understand what's happening in terms of the sanctioning level and where they are with that? How do we make sure that we capture all improper requests and delays? Because when a team does that the first time and you don't say anything, I'm not saying that you have to sanction right away, but if you just ignore it, they will do it again and they will do it again, and it will just slow down the pace of the match. And if it's a live match on TV, it really doesn't look good. How do you deal with your teams? This comes from your match preparation. Before the match, certain players have different personalities. Sometimes the more experience you get, you start getting to know some players on the tour. And even if you don't know them, just by being at the tournament, you see your fellow referees refereeing them. You can, see, what you need to know about some of those players sometimes. What do you tell them during before the toss, or how do you communicate with them throughout the match? You want to stay friendly, but you still have to be firm. So you have to show your leadership there on the court so that your decisions are accepted and trusted. You also want to make sure that you really feel your match. When you feel your match, nothing surprises you during the match. You really feel the match that you are refereeing. So you are able even to anticipate certain things. A second referee that is really alert can see that a player was injured and maybe looking for a medical timeout, the way they are behaving themselves on the court. Conflict management is important because sometimes you have players that are not happy with what the other players are doing or saying, and they kind of try to create conflict on the court. It is important for you to anticipate and to be alert in this kind of situation. Good communication, credibility, you earn that. You have to earn that. It's not because you wear the nice jersey that my friend Jamal is wearing today that you will look at somebody that's incredible. You want to make sure that you are sell your credibility to the players. And when certain players don't know you, for younger referees, when I say young, I'm talking about young in terms of how many years you have been on the FIB tour or international referee. So when you get there, sometimes people don't know you. They've never seen you anywhere, and the tendency is that because you are new, they never seen you. You are not good, although you are probably very good. But they want to. You need to earn that credibility based on how you handle the match, how confident you show yourself, and the ability to catch, to make the right call when it's really needed. And of course, your overall performance in relation to difficulty is something that is really looked at as in the category of match management and personality, because like I said earlier, many calls that we make are easy calls. And then we have that one call that is so important that we cannot miss. As a second referee, in this area, you want to make sure that you control the benches and the playing area, and this include everything. Things like where the player sit is safe enough. The umbrella is where it's supposed to be. The water is present in their box there, because imagine we have a timeout and there's water in the bins for one team and the other team does not have water. So that is unfair to one team. So it's important to anticipate on those. I'm not going to repeat what I already said regarding the first referee. So these are very similar between the other areas are similar between first referee and second referee. And next slide, please, for the fourth component of the referee assessment is the presentation, how you look. We are fortunate that FIVB provide, and some, most of the time CAVB as well, provide the apparel that we wear to look, sharp when we get out there on the court. But that's not all we need to have. The requirement for the shoes, white shoes, important, white socks, your hat, your appearance in general, is very important. And this is not only on the court, it's on the court and off the court. Because, a referee that is seen off the court behaving a certain way, just give an image to the player is not necessarily the right image that the player will get, but they'll have that image about the referee, that is somebody that maybe is not really serious or whatever. So I know a lot of us like to chat with players and things like that, but my personal take on that is, you want to stay friendly with players. but you need to keep a distance. Otherwise, it becomes too like camaraderie is not what you want. Particularly during an event, after the event is something else. If you find it, you're sitting in a plane with a player, you are going to talk to each other and share your experiences. But at an event, imagine you are at a beach volleyball event and you are seen 5 times with a player, talking like friends, and then the next day you are refereeing his or her match. What do you think the other people will interpret? How do you think they will interpret that? So you want to, make sure that you stay friendly but you keep your distance. So our general appearance is also something that is looked at. So this is basically what we had here, the 4 areas of competence that are used to assess beach volleyball referees. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same with volleyball referees, but this is how our referee delegates or referee coaches, now the way we call them, this is how they assess us on a daily basis when we go to FIVB events. And I hope that this kind of summary and review of these elements will help in our preparation and in whatever we do on a daily basis to improve our refereeing, knowing in which area we are going to be assessed. So I think it's time maybe to pause here before we move to the second part to take any question if there is any. Otherwise, we can continue. You are muted, Mr. Gerard. You are muted.
Mr. Magid, you are muted.
Now, okay. Hisham.
أستاذ مجيد افتح الصوت. You are mute. أستاذ مجيد. أيوة أستاذ مجيد.
Yes. فاتح الصوت أنا يا هشام.
كده مفتوح.
مفتوح كده ولا؟
كده الصوت مفتوح، احنا سامعينك كده.
Okay, thank you. So please, I have a question from Mr. Inyas Kondo. Doctor, thank you for the good presentation. Players tend to shout at times. Do we draw the line between minor misconduct and player emotion?
Yeah, of course, this is a very good question. First of all, we need to, as a first and second referee, need to watch, exchanges between players throughout the match. And emotion is clear. When somebody has an emotion, you can see that maybe they are frustrated at themselves, and they may still have an action that can be sanctioned. But depending on where we are in the match, when I say in the match, in the sanctioning level scale, you as the first referee have to get their attention to make sure that they know that what they have just done can be sanctioned, and that will be their warning for the team. And in the next event that this happened, you will have to go to follow the sanctioning scale. But definitely, you also, like I said, you want to fill the match. You want to make sure that you are not just applying the role without thinking. You want to be able to fill the match and make sure that you don't just sanction a player when the player really did not intentionally acted wrongly. So it's really depending on the situation, and you can be more flexible when you clearly see that it is not really something that they plan to do, but they are really frustrated at their own play. Hope that helps.
Okay. The second question: as second referee, when I forget to indicate court switch after 1 or 2 rallies, am I allowed to do it again?
Absolutely, you are allowed to do the court switch if you missed it, but you should not miss it. That's the right answer to that question, is that you should not miss that. But if you missed it, you are allowed. You should correct your mistake as soon as you realize it. Same thing with the service order. If you missed the service order at one point and you realize that you missed it, you have to correct it whenever you realize it.
Okay. The question: is a team with no number in their kit allowed to write numbers? Sorry. Is a team with no numbers in their kit allowed to write numbers with visible marker on their body, for instance, on both shoulders?
Okay, I cannot really comment on that kind of question. These are things that may happen at local events, and the referee, the technical supervisor of the events will make the decision on what to allow and what not to allow. But at FIB events, you won't see that. You won't see that kind of situation. People will have the right jersey with the right number waiting on them. But at maybe at our events at the CADB, we may have a situation like that. But the referee delegates, the technical supervisor will make the decision as to what to allow.
Okay. Who is responsible to know service order between first and second referee?
Well, technically both, but second referee is controlling the work of the table. Sure. So it's the second referee that's supposed to know who is serving next.
Okay. Who calls for a foul? Should it be noticed that team players served twice consecutive?
Yeah, so that is and that would be a mistake of the wrong service, or the wrong server went to serve the second time. So that is something that should be caught by the second referee and also the scorers.
Fourth, should both referees notice that teams need to switch side late? Can they do it on the 8th point?
Yes, we already answered that question. Yes, if there is a situation where we missed the score switch and we realize that we missed, we can switch even after at the 8th point or whatever, where we realize it.
Okay. Sorry. Is a team with no numbers? If a player have habit to take an advantage on technical timeout for rest, what we do?
I'm not sure I understand that question, but during a technical timeout, the players have to rest. They take the advantage to rest. That is the purpose of a technical timeout, to allow players to rest a bit. So I'm not sure. Maybe the person can rephrase that question.
Okay. Can I know what is the signal of interference if a player interferes in the rally?
Well, the signal is the same. I will invite that person to look in the rule book at the last pages. You have all the signals there for the different faults. But you basically point the ground under the net, in the middle of the net.
Okay. After a match, is it allowed to talk to player?
You don't want to engage in some discussion after the match with players. This is a very bad habit that we have, that we want to justify something to the player. No. At the end of the match, do your protocol, go to this bench, to the table, get the players to sign, and leave the court. After that, if a player really wants to talk to you, they can approach you in a more informal way, and if the environment is conducive, you can discuss something. But don't try to do that right there after the match. It's not a good thing, because players at the end of the match, usually those who want to talk to you are those who lost the match, and they might be still tense, and and if you are also tense at that moment, it will not help. So advise not to try to prolong any discussion with the player at the end of the match, but after that, when you have left the court, you have finished, you have score sheet, you can just politely tell them, you go, okay, I need to finish the protocol here with my score sheet and send it in, and maybe if you still around, we can discuss whatever you want to discuss later. But right now, I'm sorry, I need to finish my score sheet and send it out.
Okay, next question. How to argue with a player that misconduct with your decision? Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for the explanation. It will acknowledge me well now. Thanks, sir. Okay.
Okay, should we continue?
Yes, please. Yes, we can continue. Yes, I return back to the slides.
Can you go back?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, go back to part two. Go back, I think two slides. No, but back again. Okay, all right. No.
Competencies.
Yeah, yes, thank you. So based on those competencies that I presented so far, the areas where we are assessed, we I chose to present here a few things that we see coming back many times. A lot of our referees, even top the international referees, always have certain things to work on at second referee, and this is understandable, because in most cases you will spend more time working as first referee. So it's mostly as international event that we always have second referees, or we have the opportunity to work as second referee, and it's not always, we always have to work on some techniques there, or something that we tend to miss sometime. But it's not an excuse. So as we already know that this is an area where we are sometimes very weak, we need to work on that and make sure that when we are assigned to an event, we are ready to perform to the best of our ability as second referee as well. And also, sometime at the end of a FIVB event, you meet with the referee coach that has followed you throughout the events, and they talk to you about different situations. And what we have seen sometimes you don't recall what the action was. So it's good practice to keep either, nowadays we all have cell phones or smartphones, or even a small notebook where for each match you can write 2 sentences about things that you think that can be, we may have to discuss about later. That way, when on day 5 the referee coach is talking to you about certain things, you remember what it is. But hopefully on the daily BB event sheet that we receive, you may have already noticed that, and that may help to recall. And we see a lot of situations also where the second referee, the referee during his contact time with the referee coach kind of does not agree with the evaluation, or is surprised by the assessment results. It happens, I think it has happened to most of us that have attended FIVB beach volleyball events. But it is important that we understand the fact that the referee coaches or referee delegates are humans as all, just like us. So they can also make mistakes. But more importantly, sometimes if we don't really master the areas, how we are assessed, all these 4 areas of competence, if you don't understand exactly what they are looking for throughout the evaluation, throughout the week, we might be surprised with the final assessment that we get. So this is why this session is important, to make sure that we really look at, how are we evaluated as referees when we perform, so that we get less surprised at when we get an assessment. Normally, we're supposed to do a lot of self-evaluation as well. So when we do constant self-evaluation, we are able to know if we are doing we want to, I think that is actually the reason why referee delegate was changed to referee coach. Maybe, I'm not sure, but we don't want to see the referee coach or the referee delegate as a policeman that is there to judge us. No, they are there to help us perform to the best of our ability. That's why on day 1, they look at all of us and they give feedback. And the idea is not to be the best on day 1 and go down on the last day. So you can be the best on day 1, stay best all through the event, or start with getting the feedback at the beginning and improve all the way to the end of the event. So as soon as you see the referee coach as police, you start being, I'd say that you are really cautious. You are not. You want to always dispute whatever they have to say, or you are not really open-minded to what they give you as feedback. So we should try not to see referee coaches as police. So that concludes part 1, and we will, in the interest of time, we will continue to part 2. So part 2 is about career requirements. So I know this title can be misleading, but we are talking about the career of an international referee. So there's no one fit for all recipe. So if there was, we will all be, at the top level and all refereeing the top events like the Olympics and so on. So no, there's no, but it's still clear that those who have more experience can help those who have less experience to perform better, because they have been there, they have made mistakes, and they can tell us, what they have learned throughout their career and what have made them successful. So it's important to learn from talented and experienced referees. So when I added this component to the webinar, I told myself, well, I mean, as we heard, I'm a university professor and I do a lot of research. That's my work. But I say, well, maybe it would be good to do a mini research. And I put together very quickly this research with a survey where I had a few questions that were addressed to a few top international beach volleyball referees, those that are referee at the Olympics, the World Championship, and so on, and like that, and to ask them to share with younger referees. Again, by younger, I mean those who don't have too many years as international referees. So to share with them, the kind of advices and tips that they think can help to become, better referees tomorrow and have a good referee, beach volleyball refereeing career at the international level. So I was very amazed by the response. We got over 150 advices and tips that were collected through these mini studies. And it was good, but it was also more work for me because I had to do my analysis now. And for those of you who do research, this was basic qualitative analysis to come up with, to dig into those 150 advices and try to understand what they are talking about. What are the main themes, the bigger themes that are coming up out of these 150 advices? And really, I would like to acknowledge those that have participated. Again, my friend Jonas Personini from Switzerland, who has forwarded the invite to fill out the survey to many top international referees like him. Then I was really amazed by the response that we got. And big thank you then to those who fill out that survey. Next slide, please. So after a thorough analysis of this data, and I also have to thank my staff here that helped to teach you all those data. So we came up with 5 main dimensions in terms of advices toward a successful beach volleyball referee career. So these 5 dimensions being a learner, know how to collaborate, discipline, personality, habits, and attitude. And we'll go into details for each of those dimensions. And learner, to start with that, is important in the sense that, like I always tell my students, you have to choose either you are a good student or a good learner. A good learner is a good student first. But the person who is only a good student is there just to make sure that they get the best grade possible and pass the course and move on. The learner also wants to get the best grade, but want to really get something out of that course that they can actually use in their career and use in the future. So be a learner is a key here. Please, next slide. So the first dimension that we found from the research, so basically this part is I'm just basically sharing the result of the mini research that was conducted. The first part here is the reading to learn. So, and to learn, there are many ways that we learn. Like some people will read, study, other things to learn. So reading our rules, the rules of our sport, or the protocols, reading the guidelines, the referee guidelines is important. Not think once and think that we know everything. No, it's like for those who are religious and read their religious books, they read that all the time, you know. So it's important, you know, when you have a minute or to set aside, you know, a time for an international referee to set aside time, you know, every month or every week or so to go through the material, and that's how you consolidate the knowledge that you have of the beach volleyball rules and refereeing techniques. Next slide, please. So like I said, there are many ways to learn. So you want to read and study, but you also want to observe and listen to other people that have maybe more experience than you. So and practice what you see, practice what you learn from them. This is another avenue to learn continuously. Next slide, please. Like I always say, you want to be a good student, but you also want to make sure that you ask questions. You cannot be at an event, you see something that you don't understand, and you go back to your own country without clarifying that with somebody who knows more than you do. So people think that asking is a weakness. No, asking is a plus. Because when you ask, you get the right answer, and ask to the right person as well. And you can also triangulate, meaning you can ask to a few people and make sure that what you receive as answer makes sense. And English here is important because we all come from different backgrounds, different countries. We have our native tongue. We speak different languages, but English is the language of volleyball and beach volleyball. So this is, even sometimes players don't speak good English, but they try to speak to you in English because that is the language that is used. So we want to make sure that we continuously improve our English as beach volleyball referee. If you, in your normal life, English is not important because you are working in a different language, unfortunately, is to maintain your knowledge in refereeing. You want to make sure that your English level is improved. You know, when you become a referee after your course, your English is not necessarily the best for those who don't have English as their first language, but you are expected to increase, to improve. At one point, the FIB actually even provided some software to help referees improve their English. So it is a very important, I know very important, very good, talented referees that really struggle to express themselves because they are not able to tell what they think in in English language to the player. And that creates sometimes important issues on the court. Next slide, please. And so finally, in this category, in this dimension, to be a good learner, obviously you want to, when you have time, you want to watch as many matches as possible. This is important because this is how you see certain situations that in your local setting, in your own country, you may not be exposed to. And you teaching and sharing, this is actually the best for me because for those who know me, I really enjoy sharing the knowledge, sharing what I've learned and sharing what I know, because actually the best way to learn is to teach. And as international referee, we have the responsibility to train referees in our own countries or in our own confederation. So by teaching people, the more you teach, the more you learn, for sure, or the more you keep your knowledge sharp in your head. So teaching actually is a very, very, very important component of learning. So I really encourage, next slide, please. I really encourage all international referees and candidates to really take pride in teaching. And this is basically, you will see this kind of image a lot. These are keywords that we have extracted from the data that we collected through the research that relate to the willingness to learn. And you can see what like watch, share, ask, understand, teach, English, things like that. So those are the keywords that we were able to detect from the research. Second, next slide, please. So we will move to the second dimension of advice that we receive. Collaboration. As a referee, you are always working in a team. You team with your roommate to start. The day you arrive at an event, your first teammate is your roommate, because we usually put two referees in the same room at international beach volleyball events. You want to team up with the rest of the referees, because you are all coming from different countries, different languages, different races, but you have to be working at this event together. And you don't know who you are going to be paired with to ref a match. So you don't have to like people, but you have to be able to work with them and be a good teammate with those people. And when you're a good teammate, it shows respect to the others, and you want to be able to take the lead in certain things. Like, in beach volleyball, we are not lucky like indoors, like volleyball referees, where we usually come with a suit and tie and go to to change and ref our match. When we do beach volleyball, we have to get dirty the first day or so. So we have to get dirty, make sure that the court is ready. And this is how you see those who have collaboration skills and those who don't. Those who have good teammate skills or good team player skills, and those who don't. And the referee coach usually observe and see those things. So this is not beach volleyball. Somebody who is not able to step up and help his fellow referees that have to conduct a task on the court. So be a teammate is a very important, and collaborate with your peers is extremely important. As you can see on this image, if one person doesn't do what it's supposed to do, nothing will work. Everything will be stuck. So this is what a good teammate is. Do your part and make sure that you play for the team. The team in this case could be the team of referees for your match, meaning first referee, second referee, and the line judge plus the scorers, or it could be just the entire referee crowd that at that specific event. Next slide, please. Also, you want to be able to give feedback when you are, sharing and teaching and helping younger referees, and also receive feedback when you are an international event. So these advices are not only for when you are at an international event. They also apply when you are, anywhere in in your local country or another event in your region. You want to be able to give feedback. You also want to stay open to these negative comments and cooperate. Some people are not set up to take negative comments, but you can't be a good referee if you're not able to integrate negative comments or criticism. This is how you get better. This is how you become a better referee, by actually stay open to this kind of feedback. Next slide, please. You want to always keep open, So like this image, this funny image says, you want to be able to stay open-minded and be able to take advice from people. And whenever there is a situation, adapt, correct whenever you are asked to change something. This is very important because for those who have been on the beach volleyball tour for a time now, you probably have heard the expression, the flavor of the day. So what is the flavor of the day? So sometimes you get to an event and you are told to do something differently than you usually do. So this is the flavor of the day for that event. This is what the event wants you to do. Sometimes you have to do with, the special condition of that country that you need, where you need to maybe adjust your protocol, adjust certain things, or maybe the TV is very strict. You need to watch the 12-second rule very closely, but you have to also stay to feel the match and know when to be a bit relaxed or no. And ask for help, seek support, ask for help whenever you need it. That is how you show good collaboration with your peers. Next slide, please. And again, these are some of those keywords that are part of this collaboration dimension in terms of the kind of advices that we receive from top referees towards a successful beach volleyball international career. Next slide. Discipline. This was one of the things that I wasn't surprised to see in the advice that we received in the data. Punctuality is a must. And when you say punctuality, it's not about being punctual most of the time. It's being always on time. So on time all the time. It is important to the meetings, to your match. You have to be on time. And be available, be available if people looking for you at the competition. So punctuality actually shows respect to your peers. And to be punctual, you want to anticipate. You want to anticipate on anything that may happen. If you have to be there at 8 o'clock, don't leave your room at 7:58, because something may happen in the elevator and it's taking too much time, and and you get there 30 seconds late. 30 seconds and 5 minutes is late. Late is late. So punctuality is of essence if you in your career, and is a way of being, of doing things. So if you are normally punctual, it is easy for you to implement that. If you usually have issues with that, at least you can tell yourself that at this event, I'm at an event now, if you are not able to be punctual, make sure that you are always ahead. At least that will allow you to make sure that you are always on time. Next slide, please. So in this area of discipline as well, some of the advice that we received throughout the research to be able to rest enough, you know, that is self-discipline. Self-discipline allow you to is basically presented as the bridge between your goals and the kind of accomplishment that you can do in the future. So make sure that you maintain a strict discipline. And if in your normal life you're not disciplined, you will try to be disciplined at the FIAB event or ICAVB event, but it will clearly show that it will be easy to see that you are not disciplined as you want to demonstrate, because in your normal life you are not somebody that is disciplined. It's just like high performance athletes that have to be disciplined with their diets, with what they drink, alcohol, tobacco, and things like that. You know, if you don't, then it will show in your performance as a player. So for us referees as well, discipline. You can, when a referee is disciplined, you can see in his match preparation how he get organized, that you know everything is on check. So this is important, and you want to continue to improve as a referee, like we said already. You know, always looking into the rules, the guidelines, the documents that are shared on the FIA website to make sure that we are prepared adequately. Next slide, please. So this was what we have to say about discipline and the keywords. Of course, this presentation will be shared. If you want to take a look again at this word clouds, you can do so. So next slide. I will not spend too much time on this. Personality. So who are you? I think this is where we will see the most advices and tips. As referee, the personality matters. Your personality matters. And when you are, so you see sometimes a referee, their body language tells you that they don't want to be there. They look like they were forced to be there, you know, or they don't show that they are enthusiastic enough to be there. I think you have to go back to the previous slide, please. So you want to be fun. You want to really no, previous one. Previous. No. Go back. Back. Okay, good. So so you want to enjoy what you do. Stay yourself, be yourself, and be a human. Be human. I mean, this is the kind of thing that speaks a lot to the players that you are refereeing. And also to your peers as a beach volleyball referees when you are a team at a specific event. Next slide, please. So you want to be patient. You want to be calm, quiet, clear, and focused. And these are different words. Sometimes some of them are synonyms, but these are things that a lot of the referees that responded to the survey shared with us that can help towards the performance and as a referee. Be clear means, you know, when you have to explain something to a player, you want to use the right terminology. You want to make sure that you use the words from the rule book as much as you can, so that it is clear and is it is free from any wrong interpretation. Next slide. It's important to be honest, trustworthy. And honesty here, it goes a long way. You want to be, as a team player with your fellow referees, for example, you know, it's important to be honest, in the sense that if I feel that you are not honest, I will have a hard time being a good teammate with you if we are paired to ref a match together. Because somebody who can see something in and clearly say out, and everybody sees that it's in, and there's no chance that they may have made a mistake, this is not good. Players will not trust you, you lose your credibility, and so on. So this is important. You want to watch that and don't fall into some of us, we're all from different countries. It means that, believe it or not, when your country plays, your heartbeat increase because you want your country to win. But it's not like because of that you will not be ethical and not do your job as a line judge or something like that. So stay committed, stay available to help. You can't be asked to step in at any time when you are assigned to an event. Be humble and be smart. Humility is one of the key things for success, as we all know in everything in life. Next slide, please. Stay ambitious. Don't get your ambitions low because something happened. No, try to take a real interest in what you do and put your ambitions up there. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of asking questions. Don't be afraid of sharing your viewpoints in certain situations. Like I mentioned earlier, we are talking here about your personality. You will be friendly with players. But you want to keep some distance. So you want to be reserved, but very approachable. You don't want people to look at you at somebody who doesn't want to talk to anyone. So you want to show in your body language that you can be approachable, but you can be reserved as well. Don't take things personal. This thing helps a lot in conflict management, in game management. If you are able to understand that sometimes a player may be frustrated at himself, at his teammate, or even at the event itself. Sometimes players will get there, maybe they don't like the food, they don't like the transportation, and they take that frustration on you, the referee. Sometimes you are aware of that and you understand that you don't want to take these things personal so that you can transcend and really address situations when they arise properly. Next slide. So, like I said, this dimension, personality, is where we got, I think, most of the advices. A lot of referees that shared their advices and tips here gave a lot of input in this area, and as you can see on this image. So the last component of the advices that we received are habits and attitude. So your habit can actually make you to be a good referee or just break you. If you decide to split, so you go to an event, you travel 7 hours, you get to a place to ref at an FIB event, or even travel 3, 4, 5 hours in Africa to go to a CAB event, and you sleep 2 hours, and you expect to be at the best of your ability the next day. The body doesn't lie usually. Try to avoid stress. Make sure that you watch your diets and try to stay in good shape. I know some of us go to events and actually get time to go to the gym in the morning just to open their their senses. So if you can do that, that's great. But in general, even this is not only that what you do at an event. In general, in your life as a referee, as a top level referee, you want to stay disciplined, have the right habits and attitude. Your diet is important, as we all know. We all struggle, me included, actually, now with the pandemic, where we are at home for almost 4 or 5 months. We are all struggling with BMI, so we want to make sure that we stay in shape to continue officiating at FIVB events. Next slide, please. So one of our advice was to make sure that you breathe and enjoy what you do, stay relaxed and be resilient. Resiliency is extremely important. I will explain in a couple of minutes why. So resilience throughout a referee career, an international beach volleyball referee career or any referee career, you will be frustrated. If you see an international referee that is today at the top and tell you that he has never been frustrated throughout his career, it's not true. You always have situations where you are frustrated, and the frustration can come from any area. Sometimes you may feel that your peers don't have your back as you would like them to have your back, or other things. Or maybe you don't get assigned to the event that you were hoping to be assigned to, and that's not the end of your career. No, because yes, you can fall down and you can also step up and move on, because you are not refereeing for the person who is assigning, you are refereeing for yourself first, because you love this game, you want to be part of it. So resiliency throughout a beach volleyball international and international beach volleyball referee career is actually very important. You want to stay positive, knowing that tomorrow will be better, and keep working on getting better as what we do. Next slide, please. So these were the 5 dimensions of the over 150 advices that we received. And like I said, I was very pleased with the participation, and I'm very grateful for all those referees that decided to share this. And like I said, this presentation will be available, made available by CAVB, so that you can go back and watch and read through again. We just have a few more slides. I know we are already over time now, so a few more slides. The next part of the another dimension, another part of the next one, yes. Another part of the study that we conducted, we asked some of those referees to tell us, being a successful to a certain level beach volleyball referee today, what do you think is the one thing that has contributed to your success as a referee, to get to where you are today as a beach volleyball international referee? What is the one thing that you think you can share with other referees that may have contributed more to to where you are today? Next slide, please. And the answers was where I really take. I was really happy to read all these answers. So this is a very good image that actually summarizes all the answers that we received. And the ones that you see, the ones that are bigger are the ones that came back more. So things like learn, that no surprise, we already saw that willing to learn, be a learner is a key thing to become to be a good a referee. Understand the rules, study them. Things like preparedness for your match and situation in the match, and mistake, big thing. We will always make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. We have seen mistakes at every level. What's important is to be able to realize that you made a mistake and how to fix it, either maybe next time. The next slide, please. So unique contributors then to success, just to summarize what I presented in the previous slide then. So you want to keep learning, good knowledge of what you do, be a good student, observe and repeat, be open to others, respect them, communicate with them, learn from them, communicate, stay committed and persevere, meaning that, be resilient, you don't want to abandon at the first obstacle that you see in your beach volleyball referee career. So make sure that you stay persistent with what you want to accomplish as a referee. And I have a good personality. As I said, most of the advices that we receive were about the personality. So your personalities say a lot about how you may be able to perform. Empathy sometimes is also important. We talk about the rules, but what is important is to go beyond the rules and understand the spirit of the rules. So we are referring a TV sport, and you have a rally that is spectacular, and the crowd is standing up ovation because they really like what they see as action. And the players at the rally, a long rally, are so tired, but you don't show empathy. You don't give them a couple of extra seconds to breathe before the next rally. No, that's not good. You don't be afraid that the referee coach will tell you that during between those two rallies it took 18 seconds. No, when you have to feel that and show empathy to what's happening and be passionate about what you do. When you show passion, you usually have good performance. Next slide, please. So final pieces of advice is, learn from your mistakes and mistakes of others. Stay open, share your knowledge, and be yourself. Be respectful, show respect, know and improve your English. Be ready and on time. Be collaborative, and keep practicing locally. I know we in our region, in the CIV region, in some of our countries, we don't have the luxury of organizing regular beach volleyball event, unfortunately. So referees don't have enough opportunity to develop themselves. I think this is an area where we really need to work on. And this has nothing to do with CAVB. This is at the level of each country to make sure that players play more so that they can become better players, and also give opportunities to referee to practice more and more and really, really enjoy what you do as a referee. Next slide, and I think that's the last one. So I just want to end here with this quote that I got throughout that research, and I thought it was worth to share. So you will be respected and remembered for who you were as a referee, not about that you missed or you called this or you did not call that situation. So it's not at the end of the event, everybody forget about those calls and we move on. So you as a referee, you really will be remembered about by your personality and who you were. So that concludes the presentation, and I think I don't know, we may have another 15 minutes for questions, Gerard.
Open the voice, please.
I'm sorry? You are muted.
Mr. Magid, open the voice.
My voice, you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, last slide, please. Just move to last slide.
Okay. This is the last one.
There's one more, but well, it's not important, but yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and maybe we can take a few questions before we conclude.
Okay. Okay, how to? Okay. Okay. I am Adam from Mauritius. I am a beach player and also do referees in tournament organized by the federation here in Mauritius. Dr. Jamal knows me very well. He came in our country for courses, and I want to know where I can learn more on beach volleyball referee courses and tips. Can you send me your mail or whatever to have more contact with you? Thanks.
Of course, we can share that at the end, no problem. I will share that in the whatever chat or whatever.
Okay.
And Mr. Jamal is there, so he can contact him. You get my email.
Okay. What time the same referee? What time must referee be on an event? Please, how many minutes?
No, this really depends on the events. When you get to an event, the first day we do housekeeping. We get all the information that we need to know about, when we are expected to be on court, when we are expected to be at a meeting, and things like that. But common practice is that if you don't have a previous match, you want to be there, at least 30 minutes before, at the event, if you're already at the event's place and you are moving from one court to the next, you want to be there maybe 30 minutes before so that you make sure that everything is on track. But it's all depend really on the instruction we get at the beginning of each event.
Okay. My question is, apart from the English language, French has become not only second but major language in beach volleyball. Please, what is the CAVB doing to help us gain a little bit of knowledge to be able to at least speak a little French? Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure who asked that question, but this is not true. French has never been, and will never be an official language for beach volleyball. At the FIVB level, FIVB try to put certain documents in more than one language. So besides English, you will see different languages like Portuguese, French, and all those. But the official language for beach volleyball and volleyball is English. So instead of asking CAVB to offer more French, like I said in my presentation, let's all improve our English so that we talk the same language in beach volleyball.
Okay. A question from Ayanda Radebe here. We sometimes find coaches intervening with the game, causing disturbances. What do we do?
These are situations that are addressed with the referee coach and also the technical supervisor. When we see that kind of things, we have to let the referee coach know what's happening on the court. But it's good to clarify those questions also during the technical meeting, so that if it's an event for young people, of course, there are certain levels where coaches are allowed. CAVB sometimes allowed that, and FIVB as well. But when coaches are not allowed, there should not be coaches. There are certain situations where they are allowed to be on the court to train, to warm up the players before the match. But after that, and this is something that we struggle with a lot in our confederation in Africa. When we go to a lot of these events, we have a lot of issues where coaches are trying to coach from outside, and we it's funny because when they go to FIVB events, they don't do that. So I think we at the continents, at the confederation, should try to really match the standard that we have at the FIVB at that level. We should not be loose because it doesn't give the wrong message to those coaches.
Okay, thank you very much for the insight and reminder on how to manage ourselves and our beautiful game. As referees are key for game flow from preparation to the game itself. Great presentation, thank you. Just many referees, they address for you their thanks to this excellent presentation.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Dauda. Like I said, this kind of relate also to volleyball as well, refereeing in the indoor, like we sometimes say. So yes, Dr. Dauda, I will be happy to share the presentation.
So before closing this presentation, I would like to thank you again for this excellent and really useful presentation and explanation of the rules, and I hope that the beach referee volleyball in Africa can follow all these advices, and what we want that some African referees reach the highest level to be in FIVB competitions. Thank you again. If you don't have anything, dear members, dear participants, also I want to thank all the participants in this webinar seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. I think my big brother Jamal there may want to say a couple of words.
Hello, my friend. How are you? Fine.
Good.
I want to thank you about this work. Especially the second topic with the statistic from to the survey you do, and you touch the main point of what we need from a referee, or a referee what he needs, because before he must we say because we know that refereeing is not a job. It must be a hobby, because it's not our main job. We do it because the main things, because we like what we are this sport. Enjoy. This is the for myself, enjoying what we are doing. This is the main word before learning. It's only my opinion. Because when we enjoy what we are doing, it means that we like what we are doing. If we like what we are doing, it means that we have to learn, to prepare, and we do it with a love. We can see this, say this. And when we do things with a love, because we love what we are doing, we will do it in a good manner. This is, I think, is the main word for me is enjoying what we are doing. Okay, thank you for this. It will be a good. There is a good thing for all the referees, all the people who want to be a good referee and want to have a career of refereeing, going in the high level, going to the high level. Thank you, Roderick.
Sorry,
Thank
please.
you, my friend.
Sorry,
And
I want. Sorry. I want to welcome our Mr. William Nipo, CIVB Vice President in charge of refereeing affairs, to attend with us this webinar seminar. Thank you for him. I forgot to address him my thanks. Sorry, Mr. Willie.
Hello, Mr. Willie. My brother Ihab. Hello. You are muted. You are muted.
I think he had his voice.
I think Ihab is speaking, but without voice.
Yes, he is.
Okay, now you can hear me now,
Yes.
Rodrigue?
Yes.
You can hear me now? Yes, hello, it's a very good session and good information, and I hope to see you in the near future, and good luck for you and all participated. Okay.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Enzo, again for facilitating this. Thank you, Mr. Gerard, and thank you, Ishem. And I saw Tarek also. Thank you, my friends. I hope we will meet very soon. Thank you, Mr. Gerard, and I think I don't have anything else to add.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. See you in next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.